Hello and welcome to another round of Championship Predictions from the Honest Football Podcast. I'm Craig Savage and with me as always is Mr. Daniel Cody. Let's have a quick recap of what happened last weekend in the Championship. And as the round of fixtures piled up during Saturday, more goals happened and less points for us. However, there were two perfect scores overall, one for both of us. Mine was the classic 1-1 draw between QPR and Rotherham, and Daniel Cody's was the classic Preston 0-0 draw against Watford. However, there are more points on my side of the table than Daniel Cody's side. So I win matchday 5 by 6 points to 5. So let's get on with the first fixture. It's Friday night action again. It's Luton Town versus Sheffield United. Luton Town beat Swansea last time out, and Sheffield United beat Blackburn 3-0.
Yeah, Sheffield United, firstly, were absolutely brilliant. Blackburn couldn't have a shot on target against them. They were dominant from start to finish. They probably could have had more. They had over 10 shots on target, I think, in the game. It was a really good performance. And they are now top of the league, as I predicted pre-season. So hopefully that continues for the next 41 games. And Luton finally won a game. I mean, we've got to get excited about that. I'm feeling a lot less worried, concerned about Friday night now. So I know Sheffield United are a great side, but it was a good performance from Luton. Obviously, a stark contrast to what we saw on a Tuesday before. Great for Carlton Morris to get off the mark. It's a massive moment for us to get the strikers scoring and just a much more solid defensive display. So gave up the ball, fought hard and pressed in the right areas. Exactly what we expect from them. It's two sides that were brilliant towards the end of last year, two of the top six. But Sheffield United, according to my pre-season predictions, are champions in waiting. So I have to predict them to win. I think they do have too much firepower and a lot more pace in behind. So although I don't want to see it when I'm there on Friday, I'm going to go 2-1 Sheffield United and hope I'm wrong.
It's by time to start the round of fixtures with a Championship favourite score. I know 1-1. Sheffield United, very good. Very, very good against Blackburn. Torn apart, really. Luton, on the other hand, classic Luton with the two goals. Nothing wrong. Obviously, Campbell's strike was good. You have to blame the keeper a little bit, but it don't really matter. It's gone under him. And then second class, it was brilliant by Jerome in the lead-up play. Morris with the classic R9 little step over, gets away with the defender and smashes it in the bottom corner. Nothing more that you can do really, and I think that's what Luton needed. That sort of game where you're not going to have the possession. Most of the games this season, they've had the possession and not got something out of it. Where they haven't got the possession, like Swansea, like to pass everyone to death, Luton took full advantage of it, took their opportunities and scored. So it was excellent 2-0 win. That's a positive, and a clean sheet. So Horvath and the back three, unbelievable. Yeah, so I'm going to go 1-1. I think this is going to be a really good game between these two sides. I can see why Sky picked it. Luton might edge it if they don't have the possession, because I feel like Sheffield United will have the possession, a lot of the possession. So it depends how Luton deal with it. So I'm going to go 1-1. Right, early kickoff. Unlucky Norwich. It's Sunderland versus Norwich. Not fair enough, fans. Sunderland beat Stoke by 1-0 and Norwich beat Millwall by 2-0.
Yeah, good performances from both at the weekend. Important results. Norwich, again, still the question mark about the ruthless edge. Obviously, Sargent got the brace, but loads of shots. The shots to shots on target conversion for Norwich this season is not a good stat. And that's something they're going to have to improve moving forward. But 2 wins in a week, big one for them. And they're back up at the right end of the table. Sunderland's really good 1-0 away win. And to be fair, the only thing we questioned in the predictions last week was that they were conceding too many goals. They were letting in 2 virtually every game. And solid 1-0 win. Doesn't matter how you do it, they're going to be delighted. And the thing Sunderland have got, in my opinion, they've got a real goal-scoring threat up front. Ellis Sims now, as well as Ross Stewart, who scored bundles last year, looks like he stepped up easily. Sunderland are a good side. They're going to be hard to beat at the Stadium of Light. We've mentioned that before. 2 draws so far. I think it'll be 3. My turn for a Championship favourite scoreline, 1-1. I almost went for 2-2.
Well, that's what I'm going for, 2-2. I think this could be a really entertaining game. Yeah, excellent 1-0 win for Sunderland. A classic 1-0. You take the points, you get the hell out of there. Norwich had loads of chances, as you said, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Millwall, obviously, quite a team that's quite sturdy, don't really concede many chances, and for Norwich to have that many chances, all right, they only scored 2, doesn't really matter. They've actually created no chances against a really strong defensive Millwall side, so that's some positives out of that. This could be a really good game. Crowd, obviously, it's going to be a sellout in the Sunderland, and it's going to be a sellout, but I'm going to go for 2-2. Next up, Blackburn versus Stoke. A bad week for Blackburn. They lost 3-0 again at Sheffield United. And Stoke, lost at home again. This time they lost 1-0 to Sunderland.
Yeah, Stoke, we've mentioned it before. Michael O'Neill has got to tread very, very carefully. The one saving grace he had before is the home form was very, very solid. You can't start losing at home to newly promoted sides. As strong and comfortable as I think Sunderland will be this year, it's not a good look. And I know they've brought in some more attacking firepower now, but it's got to start to click quickly because, I mean, we've discussed this off camera before. You can have all the goal threat in the world. If you haven't got a creative force behind it, it's going to be very difficult to create chances. Blackburn, I think the last week has probably tempered the expectations after the first couple of weeks. Sheffield United played them off the park. The gulf between them was very clear. The Ben Brereton Diaz talk has come up very loudly again, indicated he's not going to sign a new deal. There's no doubt in my mind he's off by the middle of next week. This is an important game for Blackburn. They have to bounce back. They have to get the win. I think they will. 2-1.
I'm going for a Blackburn win as well, but this time 3-1. Yeah, very bad week for Blackburn. Conceded 6, scored none. You probably think what the hell's gone wrong because they've had a very good start. The first 4 games had a very good start. Stoke, I've said this from the start. He's my candidate to be the first manager to go. It's not clicking at all. I don't know if they're just buying the wrong players or the expectation once again at home needs to be really high. I don't know. It's not clicking for them, and I think he's close. If he loses this game, he's very, very close. So I'm going to go Blackburn to recover by 3-1. Right, next up, Blackpool versus Bristol City. Blackpool drew through at Burnley, and Bristol City, as much as I'm a bit negative about them, a very good week. Another 2-0 victory and 2 clean sheets.
Yeah, and 2 games in which they show good game management and look disciplined and look structured. And we know Bristol City, they've had patches in before. We know there's a bad result round the corner, but 2 very good performances and you can't do anything than praise it. But I think Blackpool had a really good week as well. A 1-0 win away at QPR and then a comeback against Burnley that no one saw coming. You thought that game was done at 3-1. Obviously, Shane Lavery, Jerry Yates, 2 of last season's star attacking players, get the goals to get them back in it. We'll talk about Burnley's moment of madness later on, but a really good fight back. 3 goals in a game. I didn't think Blackpool had that in them at the moment. So really impressive. And I don't know what to go for in this game because Bristol City looked really good for the last week. I thought they were rock solid against Cardiff. I'm going to have to sit on the fence. Sorry, mate. Championship's favourite scoreline, 1-1, because I don't know which way to go.
2 good performances from from Bristol City, and everyone gets a little bit giddy, and then they'll probably lose the next game, and everyone will be moaning again. And that's what I'm going to go for. I think Blackpool for 2-1.
There'll be some moaning in the comments, I'll tell you that.
No, to be fair, it's a miracle they actually kept 2 clean sheets in a row because they always do tend, if they do get a clean sheet, they'll concede the number 2 next game. Blackpool, I think their confidence will be up from coming back from 3-1 down against Burnley. A local derby. Looked very intense atmosphere there, and I quite liked it, to be fair. But I'm going to Blackpool to nick it by 2-1. Right, next up, it's Cardiff versus Preston. Cardiff lost 2-0 at Bristol City, and Preston, can they score? Because they drew 0-0 again, but 5 clean sheets in a row.
And the first team to not concede in their first 5 championship games, which is a pretty...
But the performances are rubbish. The performances are bad. It's 0-0. I'll be bored.
The problem is there's got to be goals to come with it. And you feel that step away. It is a shame because we've mentioned this a couple of times already. If they still had Cameron Archer up front, they probably would have won 2 or 3 of those. But bar that one moment of magic at Luton, they haven't looked like scoring a huge amount. And they didn't look like scoring aside from that in that game either. The issue for Cardiff is that they've not been great at the back away from home. Lost at Reading, lost at Bristol City. They've been rock solid at home. They got a good draw at West Brom, but they'll be glad to be back at home, where obviously they've had 1-0 wins galore this season. And I just wonder whether they get it again. You feel like Preston have to concede eventually. This stat isn't going to go on forever. And as you mentioned, at some point, the locals will get restless and ask them to come out a little bit more. Is this the game? Yes, 1-0 Cardiff.
I think Preston will score. I really do. I don't care how they score it. I think the Preston fans will be more than happy just for a goal. And then they don't have to talk about the goal of the season from Brad Potts. Cardiff, yeah, very bad performance in the derby game. Very, very bad. They can't keep doing this away from home. Maybe they're home. They seem to be a bit better. I don't know why. Oh, they've got the 2 victories. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just not been impressed so far. Cardiff, they're a bit below par, but picking up points. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Right, Huddersfield versus West Brom. Huddersfield didn't play because they're supposed to play Coventry. And West Brom won 5-2 against Hull.
Do you know what annoys me about that, Craig, is you remember I said West Brom are one game where the goals go in away from being a contender again, and then I went for 1-0 for some reason, and they delivered the 5-goal display. They were very good. I mean, there was the stat. I get a bit sick of the fickle nature of some football fans because like there were people calling for Steve Bruce's head the game beforehand, and in the first 3 games of the season, I know they were poor against Cardiff in the fourth, but the first 3 games had the highest XG in the league. They just weren't taking chances. They took them against Hull. They were brilliant. Yes, still a couple of concerns at the back there, but West Brom are going to be right in that top 6. Don't worry about it. Steve Bruce will have them up there. Huddersfield, I know that they've picked up one important win, but otherwise they've looked pretty shoddy, to be honest. They're in the bottom 3. I don't see it changing. I don't think West Brom are going to be able to go as nuts. The chances of you taking all of your opportunities 2 games in a row is slim, but I'm still going to go fairly big. I'm going to go West Brom to win 3-1 because I think they'll give away a sloppy goal on the counter still, but no doubt in my mind the visitors win.
Well, I think I remember what I said last week. I thought I said West Brom were boring and they score 5 the very next game. So no, much better performance from West Brom. Took their chances, looked clinical, looked a bit ruthless. Okay, they conceded 2 right at the end because they knew the game was done. And I'll be pretty annoyed by that, to be fair. But yeah, much better performance by West Brom. Really happy with that. Other than that, I'm going to go West Brom to win by 2-0. Hull versus Coventry. Hull obviously lost 5-2 at West Brom, and Coventry, they get to play a game. They obviously were supposed to play Huddersfield and got called off.
Yeah, it's a bit of a difficult situation for Coventry, because we mentioned that last season they were so invincible at home the start of the year. It got them into that playoff mix. At the moment, only playing away from home, it is going to damage their league position and it makes the run look worse than it is. Because if you go in all competitions, they're 6 without a win now, going back to the middle of April last year. So it is a difficult position for them, Coventry. They need to pick up a point. I feel like they need an ugly, gutsy performance and just to get a result. Maybe rely on a moment of magic as they did against Sunderland on the opening day. And Hull, look, defensively, after the Preston game, they've been pretty poor. They've let in, 9 goals now in the last 4 matches, including the cup game. Every chance that West Brom had went in, basically. So it was just one of those days. But it was a reminder for Hull not to get too overexcited yet. Having said that, they're still in the playoffs. They're in 8th place. They're in 6th place with 8 points. And at home, they've been pretty solid so far this year. I'm going to go for it for the 3rd time, the Championship's favourite scoreline. I just think Coventry need to grit out a point and then hopefully have a home game in midweek.
I'm going to go Hull to win by 2-1. Hull will be annoyed that they got spanked 5-2. They want to get out and get playing again. Coventry, on the other hand, it's too much of a start and stop. And I think that'd be very frustrating for Mike Robbins and his side to we'll play this week. We're going to have to play the week after. When everyone's been playing 2 games a week pretty much already so far. So they'll be really frustrated by that. I think Hull will nick it by 2-1. Right, next up, it's Middlesbrough versus Swansea at the Riverside. Middlesbrough lost again, 1-0 away at Reading, and Swansea 2-0 defeat at home to Luton.
Yeah, and I don't want to criticise Swansea and take your moment away because I know it's your favourite thing to do. But actually, both sides fall into the same category last weekend. Both of them had over 70% of the ball. Both of them gave away stupid chances on the counter. And both of them at times led to their own downfall playing out from the back. It was almost a mirror image in terms of the way they lost their games. It was a really worrying sign, and I don't think many people would have expected that from Middlesbrough at the start of the season, certainly not us. Reading beating them is not the result they would have been looking for. I think most would have gone for a Middlesbrough result there. Swansea were poor. They're going to have moments like that this year. I said why they're not going to be near the playoffs. The end of the Millwall game proved it. And I think Russell Martin's line was, we started that game as we finished the previous one. So take from that what you will. Middlesbrough have to win. They have to get their first win of the season in this. There's no excuses. It's going to be a battle of which side keeps the ball. I think Swansea trying to keep possession will suit Middlesbrough more. And I'm going to go for them to win. I'm going to go ugly. I'm going to go 1-0. I know Middlesbrough's defence has been awful so far this year, but if ever there's a time for a clean sheet, it's now. 1-0 Borough.
I'm going to go 2-0 Borough. Middlesbrough, very surprising to be second, well, technically bottom, because I'm not really counting Coventry. Chris Wilder, I'll be honest, he's got to be careful. As much as we moan about Michael O'Neill, he's got to be careful. Chris Wells has got to be really careful. And same with the guy in the opposition dugout, Russell Martin, he's got to be very careful as well, because I generally find Swansea boring because they all right, they got the possession, they got the ball, they work to the edge of the area, and then they do nothing after that. It fell into Luton's hands how they want to set up defensively, because let them have the ball and then we'll go and press. And then they'll get flustered, and then Luton will be like trying to get them on a counter attack or anything like that. But even when the ball's in like the final third, Luton just have to get the back five sorted, and then they had no one really to give it to, because Oberfenny is on his own and Parole was a little bit too far apart, and it just didn't work. And you can feel the Swansea fans getting a bit more unrest, because they rather see shots go through rather than just keeping the ball all the time. Maybe change it a little bit how they play, but I don't. Russell Martin seems to be too stubborn to change a little bit how they want to be tactically, and that's the way I think. That's where Swansea's downfall going to be again this season. Just too naive and changing the tactics rather than we'll stick to what we got. All right, we're losing 1-0, but we'll still play the way we play. It's fine. Some teams, even at 1-0, will tweak it a little bit just to try and get something out of the game. I don't see Swansea doing that at the moment. I really don't. But I don't think they're going to get anything out of this game either. So I'm going to go Middlesbrough to win by 2-0. Right, Millwall versus Reading. Millwall lost 2-0 to Norwich, and Reading beat Middlesbrough by 0-0.
Yeah, it's been a season of two halves for Reading, really. They're brilliant at home. They're atrocious away from home. And I can't see that pattern changing here. I mean, Millwall, to be fair, have been the same. They've won their home games and lost or drawn away from home. So based on form, Millwall win their home games, Reading lose their away games. It's how many it goes by. Reading have been so bad at the back, and Millwall have scored a few goals at home this year. Oh, do I go 3 or more? There's something about me that wants to go mad in this game, but I'm just going to go for 3-0. I'm going to go Millwall to win by 3-0. Look, the stats suggest it. Reading are hopeless on the road. Millwall solid at home. It's an easy pick, isn't it? It's the banker of the weekend.
I'm going 2-0 to Millwall anyway. I can see Reading caving in at the new den. I really do. Millwall want to get back to home. Obviously, they got a good point at Swansea, but then they were a bit poor against Norwich. And Reading, very good at home. Very, very good at home. Very bad away from home at the moment. So it depends which Reading turn up. But I'm going to go Millwall to win it by 2-0. Right, Rotherham versus Birmingham. Rotherham drew 1-0 at QPR, and Birmingham lost 1-0 to Wigan.
Yeah, and given these are the two teams we've received the most criticism for not predicting to get results this season, do we have to go on the draw to not upset anyone?
Are we upset? Are we upset Rotherham fans?
Apparently, I don't respect Rotherham enough, and you never back Birmingham to win. So we'll see how this pans out. But
okay.
I've been really impressed with Rotherham at the start of the season. They've learned a lot of lessons defensively from last time they were up here. Yes, they've improved defensively over the summer, but the performances have shown, and away from home, they've been really gritty, which a lot of teams haven't this year. Birmingham, the issue that Rotherham are going to have here is Birmingham, for every away game and virtually every game this season, will set up like they did when I watched them at Luton. They will sit behind the ball. John Eustace is trying to make the best of the hand he's been given, and largely it's worked. We saw the issues with it against Wigan, where, again, playing against 10 men for the majority of the game, they struggle to break a side down. They don't have that attacking and creative impetus themselves a lot of the time. So this game for me could go either way. I'm going to go for Rotherham to nick it on a moment of madness, because I of the two defences, I think Birmingham are more likely to have a moment in them. I'm not sure if Mark Roberts is still out injured. He's missed a couple. He's a big player for them. So I'm going to go 1-0 to Rotherham. I think it will be a close game. I don't think it'll be a great game, but I actually think, given the hand both sides have got, the coaches are getting the best out of their squad. And I think that's an incredible effort for both. 1-0 Rotherham.
I'm going to sit on the fence. I'm going to go 1-1. No, Rotherham, another good point away from home. They probably would have lost that a couple of seasons ago. I keep saying that, but I've been really impressed with Rotherham. Yeah. Birmingham, on the other hand, all due respect to Wigan, I think Wigan will be down in the bottom 6. And that's not being disrespectful for Wigan. I think it's a great result for Wigan, and we'll get onto them in a minute. These are sort of games you need to pick up points. And like this game is a sort of game you really need to pick up points. Haven't won for away from home yet. They need to start picking up points away from home. They are going to pick up points away from home, but just a 1. Championship favourite scoreline of 1-1. Right, Watford v QPR. Watford, they drew 0-0 with Preston, and QPR drew 1-0 with Rotherham.
Yeah, QPR, better side, more chances against Rotherham, more possession, but again, faced a gritty defence that have defended out draws quite frequently this season. But as you say, that cutting edge from the last years isn't there. And they have lost a lot of those big name strikers they've had before, those individual match winners. So I think it's going to take a bit of time. But no winning four in all competitions, only one league win so far. There are a few alarm bells. Watford, we should probably say we're recording this on Tuesday. Who knows what attacking line they're going to be able to fill by the weekend, because there's offers going in for João Pedro. Sarr's had one move fall through, but there's going to be another offer from someone, isn't there? Obviously, Keenan Davis is coming in. They've already lost the other man from their front three. It's a very, very interesting end to the window. And Rob Edwards, as much as I don't want to say it as a Luton fan, I do feel sorry for him a bit, because his squad is being dismantled after the season starts, which isn't helping. And it's probably showing in their attacking displays, yet to score more than one goal this season. I think this is going to be a really poor game, but QPR have let in silly goals a lot this year. So I'm going to go for Watford to score more than one for the first time. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win for Watford, because QPR, same as you, they haven't convinced me yet.
That's why I'm going for QPR to win by 2-1.
There's the bias.
No, nothing to do. Well, QPR and Watford. What more do you want me to go? 0-0? Because that could possibly happen as well. No, I needed a shot result for the weekend, and I'm going for this one. I don't know. There's something about it. Depends which Watford turn up, as you said. But they have recruited Keenan Davis, who I think is a very good loan sign. Courtney House from Aston Villa is a good sign-in on loan. Hamza Chowdhury is a very good sign-in from Leicester. I don't know. I just got a funny thing. QPR will nick it. QPR to win by 2-1. And the final game, it's Wigan versus Burnley, another Lancashire derby. Wigan beat Birmingham by a goal to 0, and Burnley drew 3-3 with Blackpool.
Yeah, firstly, brilliant from Wigan. 10 men for 80 minutes. And you mentioned on the Birmingham front, I actually think it helped Wigan in the end, because they were able to just structure and play on the counter. And in the end, it's a really good 3 points away from home against what we presume will be rivals in the bottom third of the league this season. So got to win those games. And to be fair, I know Wigan have only won one game, but they're unbeaten so far this season. So they've definitely got a solid defensive base. What concerned me a little bit more was we've seen something this weekend that we haven't seen from Burnley before, which was a loss of discipline, a defensive collapse, a young side in a derby match that maybe didn't manage a game very well. And that's something looking forward to this weekend, another Lancashire derby. If it gets fiery, will the same happen again? I mean, Ian Maatson was very good for Coventry last year. I have no idea what he was doing. I just can't explain it. It's a moment of madness. From 3-1 up, they'd already blown the lead. It was a very disappointing way to manage the game. And Vincent Kompany's got a job to do to make sure that doesn't happen again away from home. The good thing is, I guess Wigan, with respect, isn't going to be the most hostile atmosphere. It's not going to be a full stadium. It's not going to be as feisty a derby, I would expect. So I would expect Burnley to produce a more professional performance. I think we're going to really solid. So I'm going to finish, as I did last week, with the Championship's favourite scoreline of 1-1.
Like Burnley, they've drawn a lot of games so far. Only picked up the one win that was on the opening day.
Yep.
And that's quite disappointing in a way. Maybe you're right. Maybe that lack of experience in that Burnley side. And that's why they kind of caved in a little bit. But you have to give credit to Blackpool as well. They kind of spoiled the party. They kind of got into their faces and said, no, we're not having this, even they went 3-1 down. And yeah, red card's a red card. I can understand the tackle. I can understand the frustration why I'm running for. I'm running in my stride and getting kicked from behind. And yeah, he lost his head and it's a red card and there's no denying that. But I think Burnley will bounce back. They need to find a way to be more convincing going for a goal. All right, they scored 3. Nathan Taylor scored 2 good goals.
Yep.
But it's game management, as you said. But I think they might do that in this one. So I'm going to go 2-0 to Burnley.
And can we just say a well done to Charlie White for coming back and being involved in the winning goal after his cardiac arrest last year?
Yeah, excellent news. And glad he's back on the pitch. Let's have a quick recap what we just predicted for match day 6 and a lot of 1-1s again. There's 7 1-1s between the both of us. You can tell the Championship's favourite scoreline is up and running. Once again, we only think 3 teams are going to score more than 2. I think Blackburn will score 3. And Cody thinks Millwall and West Brom will both score 3. And those are predictions for match day 6. Do you agree with us or disagree with us? Let us know in the comments and give us your predictions for this weekend's action. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the Honest Football Podcast, and you can be a member of this channel by clicking the join button down below. And we'll see you next time.